Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day over at DraftKings. Got a pick of the week for you here. Not sure what everyone else is betting on out there, but you can go in right now. You can bet on the new Premier League lacrosse. We went with it the other week with some of the best team names out there, except for it turns out the whip snakes might not actually be very dangerous snakes at all, we discovered. So I'm betting against the whip snakes. That's what I'm going with this week.
Wait, lip snake?
Whip.
Okay, all right. See, that was what I thought you said, but then that second time I was like, oh, lip snake. That sounds way less intimidating.
Going against them. They're playing the Archers tomorrow at almost 5 p.m. So you can jump in on that action with the PLL. The Archers, even money at plus 100 against the Whip Snakes. So you can take that. You can bet on a bunch of other PLL action. If you want, you can bet on all sorts of other stuff. They got some international field hockey going on right now. All sorts of other stuff. Track and field, disc golf, whatever you want to bet on. You name it, you can find it at DraftKings for your pick of the week. Or, you can stick with hockey and otherwise easy sports that you understand. If that's what you're into, go over to DraftKings, take on the pick of the week. Or if you think I'm dumb, bet on the Whip Snakes. Go for it. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. Other terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Of course, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. All right. So our good buddy from Sin Bin Ken was having a conversation on Twitter the other day about how the Western Conference could play out. He was talking with AJ a little bit, and they got into a little bit of a conversation about the potential for a Stanley Cup hangover.
Yeah,
hear about it every year.
We got into like the briefest conversation, and then other Avs fans got ultra defensive about what he thought.
Yeah, they got
you guys, the Avs won the Stanley Cup. Let's take down the Twitter sensitivity a few notches. All right, you guys have the ultimate trump card. Okay, you guys can just drop gifs of Landy raising the cup. Just my gosh,
we're triggered by that Oilers tweet still. I think. People are still rehashing that. But if the Oilers had Jack Campbell...
Yeah, okay. Don't talk to that guy. While we're here,
don't
talk to that guy.
Really problematic views after that. I was like, oh no, this got worse.
Yeah.
That is a person who wakes up every day and goes, the ratio. I need it. and he lives for that insanely hyper biased nonsense. Like, just don't talk to that guy ever. Don't quote tweet him. I did it once, and it was entirely a PSA to say, don't do this. Leave that guy alone.
So I scrolled by the tweet and saw it. Thought about interacting with it, but I didn't. But I did just laugh because that was one of the funnier hypotheticals, because people do. I mean, fans do it all the time. Oh man, if this would have changed, if that would have changed, that one fucking cracked me up. If these 7 things were different and nothing about what the Avs did was different, the Oilers probably would have won 4 games. It's like,
well, it was dumb because you're talking about a team that gets swept,
right?
Playing against a team who played its backup goaltender the whole series.
Yep.
Like it was there, dude. It was
you're one step away from saying if the Edmonton simply won 4 games, they would have won that series.
That's it. It's the thing that it's like the internet's favorite version of. Well, if you tweak one thing, everybody's obsessed with the butterfly effect, and it's like, no, okay, if the Avs had killed Connor McDavid, you wouldn't have even been competitive in that series.
Right.
How much you got to get paid? How much would someone have to pay you to murder Connor McDavid?
That did work its way into the show weirdly easily. Not killing Connor McDavid.
Yeah. less than 6 minutes to tie in our pre-show. How much would it take for you to murder a person conversation?
Anyway.
Which was way darker. It started about significant others.
Yeah, I was gonna say it started with life insurance policies, and
his might not be really happy with him, so could be relevant.
Yeah, who knows when that Instagram post actually was from. So, anyway, yeah, it does sound like St. Louis fans because they did the whole "but Jordan Binnington" the entire time. The entire time, you're like, "But Jordan Binnington will save us," and you're like, "Rah." Jordan Binnington had already lost one of those games.
Yeah,
that was my favorite part about the Oilers tweet. Oh, if we only had this guy that wasn't even on the team.
That's where he lost me.
It's like, yeah, dude, everyone wishes they could have back injuries, but like now you're just adding players to the roster. Like, yeah, like if the Avs had Austin Matthews, they probably don't lose a game in the first 3 rounds. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, just start picking players. Who wouldn't want it? I mean, we did that show. Take a player from the team he beat. It's essentially what that guy was doing. Yes.
I mean, look, I hope Edmonton makes it to the second round again, and then maybe that guy gets to see.
Look, let's be real here. Makar was definitely offside, and that was such a nonsense interpretation of the touch-up rule. But at the same time, give me a break, dude. You want to tell me that a goal scored at the end of the first period of Game 1 is what changed the entire momentum of the series? Are you kidding me?
All right, well, now we're going to do this. Now we have to talk about this. Summer show, because
I like the Preds. I think they've had a great offseason.
Yeah. We've talked in the past on this show about the offsides rule with, are you wanting to uphold the written letter of the law or the spirit of the rule? And that was one where it's weird when you see it work out this way, where I actually thought the written letter of the rule was upheld, but that was one where it's like, yeah, in the spirit of what you're trying to,
in the sense that it's like basically never been interpreted that way before. Like, we've seen examples where the touch-up rule has been applied, but it was like that and like the Bergeron play where you're like,
that one,
okay.
Chicago against the Avs, years and years ago.
Yeah, the Taves thing I thought was a little bit different because
I don't think it was different at all.
I thought it was a little bit different, but I thought the Bergeron thing was as close of a comparable that you will see. And you're still sitting there and you're like, this might not be well written because this doesn't feel good. Well, it was such a sick goal though that I was dying for it to stand. Well, and then it did, and it was great. It was all good.
2 things with that. We always talk about more goals, more fun. I was glad that, it was such a sick goal and an awesome moment.
Yeah.
You're glad to see it stand. And I feel like not just the Avs, like all around the NHL, you see goals taken back on small little minutia details like that all the time, that it was nice to see one. And obviously it helps when it was the Avs. But it is nice to see one where it's like, they get ticky-tack and it holds up.
I have a question for you guys, because it used to be that they gave the linesman like carte blanche to, if a guy entered the zone backwards, some of them would just let him do it. When is are they still allowed to do that? Or is that going to get blown dead every time these days?
Who did we see that just happened against the Avs in the back half of the season, where a guy carried it in backwards? It was an away game. I remember we were all at the bar like, oh, that's coming back for sure. But they said that he backed in. So, yeah, it happened earlier this year or late last year.
So I think it's all good, man.
So I'm just leaning into like, what the hell is the rule then? If the dude has possession, so he can enter backwards, and it's fine. But
yeah, I don't know. It's all really weird, and I don't know how you clean it up at all. Like, I don't know how you clean up the rule. Like, I contest to this day with the explanation that was given, the Matt Duchene thing. That was the right call with the explanation that they gave.
Yeah.
Everyone,
with how they interpret it, with
Yeah.
how they interpret the rule and the explanation that they gave and all. What's weird is like the consequences from that decision, from that play.
like
Where you're
everyone,
like,
like everyone points to that as like, oh, see, that's what they're trying to avoid. It's like, but again, like technically that was correct. The Predators players were the last ones to touch it before it entered the zone. So it's like they brought it back into their own end. And to your point, it's just that's what everyone remembers.
Mhm.
But in all actuality, that probably wasn't the wrong call. And now it's led to this whole snowball of
Ridiculous
I love the
penalties.
conversation going on in our chat where Mike Smith is actually good though, and Mike Smith is actually bad, and it's like, why can a guy not be somewhere in between? Why can he not be just a mediocre goaltender with a tendency for giving up softies? Why is it that he has to be legitimately bad? It's hard for me to believe that a goaltender is going to have a .920 save percentage or something in the postseason, and you try and make the argument that he's a baddie.
he's
It's
just
almost-
like he's an anomaly because he's either like a 9.5, or a 1. Like he doesn't have mediocre. He's either nasty or terrible.
It's almost like goaltenders are streaky or something crazy.
Yeah,
Well, and
he's a
like
different
you
level,
saw even in that series though, you saw the best of Mike Smith where he would lock it down, and then JT Compher comes out of the box and puts one between his legs that should never get through. To the point where JT Compher was the last person in the world to believe that puck went in. He's like looking around for it, and his teammates are mobbing him. Like he's just like that goalie that you absolutely just don't trust. He can get you into a game. He can be nice and competitive, but I just you can't trust him. You just can't trust him.
You can't trust that goalie.
He's scary because
Who said that?
I did.
That's right.
He's scary because like you'll watch goalies sometimes, and we talked about this a ton with Kemper last year, where like you can tell when they're dialed in, they're in a rhythm.
Yeah.
Varley, this was a big one. Smith is just so crazy because he can look dialed in. He's stopping everything, making these huge saves. He looks massive. And then he'll give up 2 in 23 seconds that are both terrible. And it's like, what?
All right. How much
Yeah.
money would it take for Meghan to turn the knives on her favorite goalie?
100% never. No, something.
Her dollar figure for significant
with
other was relatively low to give absolutely never for goalies, just to throw that out there.
Then no amount of money. I'm very protective of them because it is a very streaky position. A lot of that is asked of them. I will live and die by the goalies.
We're going to find out Meghan's significant other is a goalie really
It's a
soon.
goalie.
All right. So we kind of ended up in a weird room here, but
It's August.
it is August. It is exactly August.
I'm sorry, but that's my excuse for absolutely everything that happens until September starts.
It's true. So
It's
maybe
August. Nothing on this podcast matters.
maybe the title of the show should be, are the NHL referees ever going to get over their hangover that's been going on for the better part of a decade at this point? Because it's bad, folks.
It's not good.
It's bad out there.
It's
Say that 3 times, you summon Tim Peel.
Into
Coming
Jesse's
with
mentions.
yeah. My favorite part of all that was him accusing me of trying to be a keyboard warrior. I think I talked about this on the show right
And
after.
you
It's
didn't
like,
do anything.
well, it's like my first and last name are in my handle. My employer and my email address are in my bio. We have a live show that we do 5 days a week. It's like, dude, if I'm trying to be an anonymous keyboard warrior, I'm failing spectacularly. I'm the worst anonymous keyboard warrior ever.
Like,
Also,
you're more anonymous than that guy at this point. People know where to find you on a regular basis. Like,
Right.
a physical space that you inhabit is well known, and when you will be there is well known.
Yeah.
And that dude is more anonymous at this point.
Oh, but it's just that was my favorite part. Like, oh, classic, just hiding behind the internet. What? Me?
As you're sending him a message from in the arena.
Yeah. Pictures of where I am in downtown St. Louis. Yeah.
Yeah. Just send him the town sign for Temecula. And just meet me there, big dog.
Was that a The Goods reference?
No, that was an old school Twitter reference. Like one of the first Twitter fights I ever saw 100 years ago. We're probably talking. This is like 2010 when this happened.
Oh shit.
When some guy was tweeting about Kobe, and some other guy was not happy about it, and literally drove from, I think it was like Phoenix to Temecula, California to fight him because he was like, meet me in Temecula, and he sent him pictures on Twitter of like the sign, and he was like, I'll be here for the next 2 hours or whatever. And
I actually think I remember that.
Yeah, that guy, and of course the guy was like, I'm not going. Like, are you kidding? But yeah, it was like a.
Seen The Goods? The movie about the used car salesman.
Nope.
Takes place in Temecula. It's really funny. It's actually like one of those like shitty good like funny movies. The movie's bad, but it's funny.
You know what movie is crazy, man? We watched Stand By Me last night, and I don't understand how people can watch that movie and just not feel like an emotional train has just plowed over them.
I had a friend design her whole bedroom a Stand By Me theme with like quotes from the movie. We used to watch it at sleepovers. We were in middle school. It was a lot to take in.
Wow.
But those are the best summers.
And like I think about it, right? And I'm like Z and I were joking the other day about sleepovers and how adults are like hard out on that shit. But as like a 13-year-old kid, like a sleepover with your friends was like the pinnacle of existence.
I think we should.
Where you're like your birthday party was the best because like you got like all of your friends on the same night were like obligated to crash at your place. And so no. it was like we're going to Blockbuster, we're getting pizza, we're getting movies and video games from Blockbuster, and we're spending all night. We're gonna hang out all night. We're never gonna go to sleep. We're gonna raid the kitchen pantry for snacks at 3:00 in the morning. It's gonna be the best. It was the bomb. And now as adults, you're like, it's 11:30. I'm going home. Bye.
If I went to a sleepover and their room was covered by quotes from Stand By Me, I might be out on the sleepover.
I think it even had like, you want to see a dead body, like on the wall.
Definitely out if that quote is on the wall.
Learning a little bit more about you and the whole knife thing here.
I was born in the darkness.
Yeah. See, and AJ, do you want to know the best part about that version of the sleepover you just laid out? It was at your house, because that was always my thing as a kid. Like, I was all about hanging out with friends and sleepover, but it's like, ooh, do you guys want to come here, though? I know where all the snacks are. I know where all the stuff is. Because I was like, even as a kid, like, that was the thing about sleepovers. It was like staying up all night. That was what was fun about them. Sleeping at other people's houses has always been low on my list of things that I like to do.
When I was younger, like elementary school, and we first started doing that, I didn't like it at all. Mm-hmm. I regularly was like that kid who like at 11:00 at night was like, I'm calling my parents, they're coming to pick me up. Fuck that. And then when we moved to Katy and the Katy kids, we all lived within like 200 yards of each other.
Yeah,
so it was very, very, very different atmosphere when we all lived in the same neighborhood. We all went to each other's houses every single day. And so it was like very familiar territory when we did sleepovers. So the atmosphere was very, very different.
Yeah, and then to your point, adults hate sleepovers so much. Literally, like an entire industry had to be formed to like call cars just on demand so people would stop drunk driving.
Get
So it's like,
home.
look, adults are not sleeping wherever they are. We need to get them home safely. And now you have Uber and Lyft and all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
We ain't
Had
about that.
things been a little bit different on Stanley Cup night, there was a decent chance I would have crashed at the bar that night.
Why not?
That would have been one of the only times ever, though.
We were back there like 4 hours later, to be fair.
The night
I mean,
You're
we
right.
stayed until about 4:30, and then we did a 10 a.m. show.
The night they actually won, not the night that they lost back home.
Yeah.
The night they actually won, that's Sunday night. Rudo, Meghan, and a couple of others of us were there until about 4:30, and then the three of us came back to do a show at 10.
People thought we slept there.
It was pretty funny. The Rockies guys showed up and were like, "So this is what winning a championship looks like." It's like we all were zombies. We were just like, totally. That's what it looks
We honestly should say it this year that if they win the cup, we'll do like a overnight
24-hour.
Do a show like first thing the next
high
morning.
School style lock-in.
Yeah.
Closing up the doors. Can't leave until 6 a.m. suckers.
If they made it to the final starts to lock in until they win. Nobody leaves until they win this series.
This is my Super Bowl. I love
it. Okay. On that note, we are brought to you by Green Chef. We might have to get some delivered to the lock-in to keep these people fed if we're doing the whole series. Green Chef is a CCOF certified meal company that makes eating well extremely easy with plans to fit no matter who you are, whether it's keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or if you just want more balanced meals. They've got you covered top to bottom. It makes cooking super easy. You just get all the ingredients, throw them in a pan, bowl, whatever it tells you to do. It comes with instructions, so super easy and super fast. I personally love all of their proteins. I think they're amazing compared to some of the other meal plan delivery services out there. Their meats are very, very high quality. AJ's mad about something down there. You can go get Green Chef today. Highly recommend you get on it. They give you 24 options every single week to choose from. So even if there are some things you don't like, maybe you're a little bit picky, they can give you options, and you can always find something good to eat with Green Chef no matter what. So jump on it. You can go get Green Chef at greenchef.com/DNVRAvs135. That's again, greenchef.com/DNVRAvs135 to get $135 off your first order. Plus, you get free shipping as well. So get some Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. We're also brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. Look, beer with your dinner, it just makes sense sometimes, especially if you're having like a steak or something. Great to snag a beer with that thing. Maybe some chicken wings. You know me, my chicken wings and beer at the bar. I'm a big fan. So go get yourself some Breck Brew today. You can find it at your local liquor store using the Breck Beer Locator online. If you're local here, highly recommend you guys have to go out and check out the Farmhouse. Amazing venue. Look, DNVR Bar might be the best venue in the state, but Farmhouse, pretty darn good too. All right. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I did want to circle it back a little bit to the topic of today and the concept of a Stanley Cup hangover. Starting with the question of, is that a real thing?
I went back through the last 7 full season winners, so I skipped the 2 pandemic years. I went back to the last 7 full season winners, and not really.
Okay.
Like there were some teams that started better than others. Obviously, sure. Like it happens. That Caps team was basically the worst. They were basically a 500 team through the first 15 games, and then they took flight and they were great again. So I think that's kind of something we all are preparing ourselves for, right?
Not the fast start in the world.
Yeah, we're expecting October to be kind of a transition period, not just because of all the jokes about them drying out and all, but the roster's kind of going to be in this weird state of flux. They're working in a new goaltender again. which we've seen many times over the last 5 years. I think this is the third time in the last 5 years that they've got a new goaltender.
Yep.
On day one of the season. So,
let's not forget they won the cup with a season that started 4-5-1.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like, yeah.
I was gonna say, I honestly, what I'm expecting is a start kind of similar to last year. Part of the reason why it just doesn't really concern me was, I mean, like, I think we saw it last year. Like, this team already, this group, this core, this coaching staff has already kind of started to figure out the formula a bit after going through the trial and error the seasons prior. Like, you don't have to burn yourself out in the regular season. Obviously, you don't want to get too far. You don't want to get off to too bad of a bad start and really put yourself like behind the 8 ball.
You can't take it. You can't take it not seriously.
Right. Yeah, you can't do that. But like, you also have to understand that I think you see teams sometimes, I think, just put like a little bit too much emphasis on, we have to have this. We have to get off to the good start. We have to. It's like, no, you've got to get into your rhythm. You got to win some games, but you got to gel and you got to make sure that you're feeling good, and consistency over the course of the 82 games to me matters a whole lot more than what is your October.
Yeah. And the teams that obsess over they have to get a good start, those are the teams that can't afford to lose the ground to begin with. So, and that's not Colorado this year. Like, the Central Division is going to be better. They will now have 2 true blue bottom beaters in Arizona and Chicago, but the rest of the division will be, I think, quite a bit improved. Maybe not quite a bit, but I think it's a really competitive group. That's where I'll land on that. I think it'll be a really competitive group. And I think that all of them will have playoff arguments that they could make. And a good start, obviously, is great. Because hey, if that Avs team doesn't start 4-5-1, then they don't need to play 800 hockey for 6 months. Like, it just makes it a little bit easier because, hey, if you could just smooth it out. We always break it down into, they want 12 points for every 10 games. That's the goal, 12 points for every 10 games. You do that, it's pretty much 98 points. You make the postseason, you're good. That should still be the goal. And if you exceed that, fucking Yahtzee. And if you don't, then you're in trouble. So that again, 12 for every 10 should continue to be the real goal there. It doesn't need to be bumped up to 14 because, we're raising the standard or whatever. Doesn't need to be anything like that. The goal remains the same. You want to make the postseason. You would like to have a home ice, of course. I think it benefited them greatly in this run that they got to start every series at Pepsi Center.
Something that I'm thinking about in respect to this offseason compared to the last several is how much later it started for them. And this also meant that injuries kind of grew more severe towards the end of their postseason run last year. So they've had a little less recovery time in between. And they've also had maybe just a little less time to train as they have in past seasons before. And I don't think this is going to negatively impact them in a big way, but I'm tempering some expectations for the start of the season with guys that are probably still recovering from some of those lingering injuries from this daunting playoff run, and just a little bit less downtime in between the start of this next season.
It is interesting because the Avs have continued to be pretty coy about what exactly who was injured with what. Obviously, Val Nichushkin walking around in a boot, that one's pretty obvious. It had been obvious for a while, but there was a number of other guys that there were suspected injuries about that we just haven't really heard very much about this offseason. So
the more limited time off is the only thing that I think I don't even know if worry is the right word, but that you're just kind of a little bit cognizant on to Megan's point. I mean, you get what, like 8-9 weeks in between that last, playoff game and start of the season or training camp at least. So yeah, it's a little bit less time, but I mean, I think I really think the only area you really worry about that catching up to a team is when you do what we've seen Tampa do or what Chicago did there in like the 2010s, where it's every year for several seasons in a row you're making these real deep runs. I think it's something to keep an eye on this year, but you do hope that there's so much talk about how the training is so much different now and the way these guys take care of their bodies and stuff. Yeah, maybe you party for a couple extra weeks, but that first pod that Nathan McKinnon went on, he already said, like, they were giving him like a hard time, like, oh, still party. He's like, no, I started skating a couple weeks ago. It's like,
well, I watched that pod too, and Nathan McKinnon is just built different, man.
Yeah,
we got the end of that run, and all of us are like, we are exhausted.
mm-hmm.
It's finally over. And McKinnon goes on that show and is like, yeah, I wish we could have kept going. I could have played forever.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God. Okay, Mac.
It's like, bro, I got crazy sick like 2 days after.
Yeah,
I just watched the games. Like
the whole beat did.
Yeah. It's like
all of us except Meghan got like really, really sick in the immediate aftermath of that. And if you look on the website, we haven't even really picked it back up on the writing side of things. We're still on break. That's gonna change. That's gonna change this week.
Really soon, yeah.
Evan has a Arturi Lehkonen film room that'll go out pretty much immediately after this podcast is finished, and then we'll get back to writing on a regular basis. But like, we took our break. Like, we've chilled out because it was a lot for him to just be like, "Yeah, I'm out skating." I mean, I expect that. I'm the guy that I'm most curious about, honestly, is Landeskog. Because he has the in-season operation. They've got this cushion. They're like, dude, just do it. Just do it, and we'll manage it from here. He comes back for the start of the postseason. Basically, doesn't practice the entire postseason.
Yeah.
And some morning skates he's there, some morning skates he's not.
I can remember. I think it was less than a half dozen times that he skated not in a game throughout the whole playoff run.
So he was clearly still working his way back with the knee. Now, what kind of damage was done? Did he need a follow-up procedure? Just to clean it up, do whatever. Not like a major thing. What kind of damage got done, and what's the repercussions? What's the rehab look like, and all that? Is he going to be fine for the regular season? Because if he's 100%, then you're fine. Whatever, right? If he's not, though, you wonder how far into the season is it a thing that lingers? Is this a thing that becomes a storyline going all the way through next year? Is it going to be? Are we going to be having a December 16th conversation? Well, Gabe Landeskog only has 2 goals. Maybe that knee injury that he suffered in the last year was more serious than we thought, because we can never just admit that a player is not playing well. He's always hurt first. So I wonder where that target is with him. Is it, is he fine, or is this a thing that it gets to 90% and then the season starts and that percentage just drops as the year goes? Will he need another procedure in the middle of the year? Will the Avs have the same kind of cushion to feel comfortable doing it again? Will they learn from it and do it a little bit earlier so that he's maybe a little better prepared for the playoffs? Do they do the exact same thing? Like, what are the answers to all 8,000 questions that I've asked in the last 3 minutes?
Game 4 of the West Final, twice. I'm sure you guys remember this. Gabe Landeskog went down, and like the first time he went, and I got real worried because he went down. He kind of like crawled away from the little scrum, and then he went to get up, and his knee just like gave out. He collapsed right back down to the ice. Trainer comes out, and I was like, the knee didn't hold up. Like something happened. It gave out. And then he was back out there like a shift later. So yeah, I mean, this just all kind of furthers your point. In addition to the not practicing and stuff like that, like there was and now credit to him, it was only one game that I can think of but he looked like he was in real legitimate pain multiple times dealing with that knee. So not something to brush off by any means this summer.
It was true of Nico Sturm too. He didn't look very visible or great in the playoffs, and then we come to learn that he had an injury.
Yeah,
kind of later into the run.
He was one of the more quiet signings of the summer, I thought.
Yeah,
it was quiet. Yeah.
Well, it's because he went to a nobody team who gave him both term and dollar.
Yep.
So
$2 million.
Yeah, somebody gave him $2 million. That blows my mind.
Off season, baby.
Yeah, but when you're a shitty team, like you gotta do what you gotta do.
Did want to touch on this, and don't get me wrong, we love Ken over here. We think he's an awesome guy. Can't wait to have him back on the show.
Yeah, no hate
Dallas.
towards Ken.
Dallas at the top of the Central.
Big Pete DeBoer guy. And I get where Pete DeBoer is a really good coach. And with that roster, I think he could be. I fully expect the Stars to be competitive. To what level?
TBD on that side.
Yeah. But with Pete DeBoer, I do think that's. I have a hard time picking against them to make the postseason. Beating Colorado in the division, though.
Tough sell.
I would have sooner picked Nashville or St. Louis. Dallas, I guess. I'm not buying that.
Yeah,
they're just not very good. They're not deep at all, and
I agree.
Like defensively, like they're okay. Like Heiskanen is a monster, and then everybody else is like it's fine.
Wait, who are we talking about beating the Avs in the division?
The Stars.
Let's worry about them getting into the playoffs first.
I'm trying to find the full list. I think they're going to be more competitive than last season by a good bit, but that's ambitious.
Well, yeah, DeBoer's a much better coach than Rick Bowness, in my opinion. So I do think that
It's the Avs too.
I don't know if any amount of coaching can make Jamie Benn a good hockey player again.
Well, I was gonna say, I think there's so much expectation on Jake Ottinger to be the savior. He was great in that playoff series. He was great.
Yeah, he was awesome.
But I used the example a few shows ago. We saw this same thing with Carter Hart that one year, where he just stood on his head for Philly, and everyone was like, yep, Team Canada goalie for the next decade. Next Patrick Waugh. He's going to be the highest paid goalie. Just starting, engraving the Vezinas now. And
yeah, but he's a flyer.
Yeah, and Jake Ottinger's a star.
The Stars actually produce good goalies, though. The Flyers ruin goalies. That's their MO.
That is true. Who do the Stars produce in terms of goalies?
Don't Stars goalies just get injured all the time?
They've only had good goalies for the last 20 years.
I hear what you're saying, but also Ben Bishop couldn't stay healthy.
Oh yeah, but when he was healthy, that was a Ben Bishop problem his entire career. It wasn't like he got to Dallas and was my knees.
True. But
DeBoer's track record with goalies could be better.
Yeah, and I think that will help him in Dallas, where it's he's got a clear, this should be the guy here, and there shouldn't be a whole lot of tinkering, because the situation that he's had the last couple of years in Vegas with Fleury and Leonard, he's got two starters. It's kind of a weird situation to manage when both guys are hey, coach, I sure would play a lot better with more reps here, given that I'm a starting caliber goaltender and have proven it in this league, and whatever. The whole thing was a mess. He botched that, no doubt. His track record with goaltenders sucks, but it should be pretty easy in Dallas. Play Jake Ottinger.
In any case.
Hold on. Because everyone's sitting here calling out these goalies that they've like turned out.
Not necessarily internally, of course. I'm just saying goalies have been in Dallas for a long time and been good.
Okay, all right.
I mean,
because like Ed Belfour is not a like Dallas Star guy. Marty Turco, I guess.
What?
I mean, both those dudes played over 300 games for the Stars.
Yeah, they were both
fine.
These guys were good.
Yeah, I mean, sure, they were good. But like, my point is like Ed Belfour didn't like the Stars weren't what made him good. Like he was still like he was Eddie the Eagle before he showed up.
Yeah, I mean, Marty Turco had multiple top 5 Vezina finishes.
Yeah, sure, it's fine. He was good.
All in Dallas. Like he was a good goaltender, man.
Stopped playing over a decade ago, but yeah,
that's man. Goalies just don't play very many games. I'm always surprised. Dallas have only had 6 goalies that have played 100 games for them. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's just kind of the way things go with goalies. We are brought to you by Green Mountain Dental Group. You can go get your teeth taken care of today. When you get a cleaning, X-ray, and exam with them, they give you a free Sonic Air toothbrush. So jump on that. Make sure you're taking care of your teeth both at home and going to the dentist and getting your teeth nice and clean, making them look good, making them fresh. Take it from me. You don't want your teeth to be bad. Then lots of bad things happen to your mouth, and it sucks. Don't recommend. So make sure you're going to Green Mountain Dental Group. What?
Just the way you phrase it. Lots of bad things happen to your mouth.
Yeah, if you don't take care of it, it's just true.
Okay. I believe you. It was just the wording of it that I was like, what?
I saw some multiple people in chat wanting to ask questions as we move into the third period. Now's the time to do it. We can get to some viewer questions for sure as we're digging through the show here. But while we wait for a couple of those questions to come in, I did want to circle back a little bit because everyone has a price. And I'm not necessarily talking about murder here.
He is.
I mean, if you guys want to talk about murder, we can go there.
Have you seen that dog on TikTok whose favorite word is murder? And like his owner says murder and the dog like perks up and gets all excited. It's very funny. Anyway, go ahead.
That's kind of terrifying. Actually.
It was like the owner's like, oh, he's a 10, but his favorite word is murder. And then there's like a compilation of her saying murder and the dog just gets amped up and you're like, Yeah. Anyway,
my question is, if you could cover any other team in the NHL, exact same way that we cover the Avs right now, what would it take? What would the price be for you to jump ship and go cover a different team?
Okay, well, you have to give us a team because that price is going to be very different depending on the team.
Well, so give me your easiest price, the best team that you'd love to go cover for free or for a small amount, and then give me the team that like they couldn't pay you enough.
For free, there isn't a single team that I would. But no, absolutely not.
Well, I'm saying, like, assuming you make the same you do now.
I mean, for obvious reasons, Winnipeg. For obvious reasons, the Islanders. I wouldn't want to live in New York, though. Like, that's my big thing with covering the Islanders, is I wouldn't want to live in New York. Vegas, I think, would rule. Seattle, I think, would rule. I think those would be. I think Vegas and Seattle would probably be. Arizona, those would be top of my list. Just because I really like Phoenix, and I think that atmosphere over the next couple of years is going to be neat and unique.
I agree.
I think it'd be cool. It'd be a cool footnote in their history, especially if it's like they're shitty, but they're fun and they're on the rise. And like, look out for these guys as they move into a new arena, just as they, just as they roll into relevance.
I said that earlier this morning, and I've been, as long as it gets the approval for the full arena and there's light at the end of the tunnel, I actually think this is really cool. And I think all the Canadians that are just trying to use this this is why they need to move them. It's going to be really cool. It's going to be a really cool venue.
Put a team in Hamilton.
Right. Well, and my favorite one is like, put a team back in Quebec, somewhere they already had to move a team out of because they couldn't afford to keep them there. It's like, I don't understand. Like why, the Quebec thing isn't the dunk that some Canadian hockey fans think that it is. It's like the league already failed there, like pretty bad. Like you had a really good team and it failed. And so I always find that one amusing, but I'm fully with you, AJ. I think it's going to be really cool. And it's like right in the heart of Tempe. Like it's in an awesome location. The venue's going to be sick. Like, I mean, watching NHL hockey in that intimate a venue, it's going to be sick. It's going to be awesome. I'm jealous of our PHNX guys and gals.
Megan, do you have a team or city?
I could be talking to a lot of places, but I feel like I would really not like to go to Chicago. So that would be the one that I'd need to be paid a lot to go to. But I like a place like Vegas. I like how close in proximity their AHL team is to their parent team. So it would be easy to bring coverage to both. And I think it would be fun. That might be kind of at the top of the list. But I could be sold on Anaheim too for similar reasons.
Okay.
Oof, covering the goals. I'll just go cover the goals.
Covering Troy Terry single-handedly.
Down in San Diego. Yeah.
I'm on the Troy Terry beat.
That's weird. I'm so sorry, Troy Terry.
Writing down CHGO on Megan's no trade list really
Yeah.
quick.
Oh my god.
Do have some questions coming in here. DJ Son asks, how many of our performance bonuses will have to be paid out after this year? It was like almost none. Like I think Ben Myers was the only one that really hit it.
Ben Myers got a $25K games played bonus, which is why when he signed that contract, I kept telling people, I was like, he's gonna play a handful of these games because whatever that bonus is, he's getting that thing.
Because the time Byram missed, he didn't really hit any of his regular season ones, and I don't think Newhook did either because he didn't play enough time.
He had the Oshawa Generals for Meghan.
I'm really excited.
That was a fun interaction. I saw that last night.
I love their social media manager.
I think it was a little bit more than 25K in total bonuses, but it was very, very little in bonus overages this year for the Avs. Ron Weasley asks, do you guys agree in thinking that Kadri will be getting overpaid wherever he signs and that the Avs should simply move on?
So sick of talking about this.
At this point, Kadri will sign when he signs and we'll deal with it at that point. So it's hard to...
For the record, it was exactly 25K in overage bonuses that they carried.
Was it really?
Over.
I thought it was a little bit more. Okay, so it's just Ben Myers.
There are some signing bonuses, but those
are different, yeah.
Yeah. Those are not cap related. No, I mean, like, no offense. We've talked the Kadri thing to death. There isn't an angle that we haven't talked about on at least 5 different shows at this point.
Then just the way the question is worded, do you agree in thinking? So Ron Weasley obviously thinks that Kadri's going to get overpaid. He's a free agent center. Probably gonna need a little bit more than maybe what he should, but part of the reason why I don't think it's gonna be that bad is because he's still out there.
Yep.
If he was gonna get grossly overpaid, it was gonna be on day one.
It would have been
3 weeks.
In the beginning.
More than 3 weeks. We have another question from Sean that says, thoughts on Lucas Sedlak? Will we be able to continue some of his KHL production or expecting him to go back to CBJ standards? To be honest, I don't think Sedlak probably has a significant impact at the NHL level. He's probably a dude that plays for the Eagles for the majority, if not all, of the season.
I'm expecting no impact.
Given seeing guys like Sedlak come over has more to do with the current geopolitical state of Russia more than anything else.
North American players choosing to come back to North America versus staying in Russia when they might be like invading another country here pretty soon. Like there's no way.
Yeah. Will asks, what is your favorite NHL conspiracy? And why is it that I can't even say it. Why is it that Nolan Patrick can't tie his shoes?
Yeah. We're just defaulting to Nolan Patrick can't tie his shoes until somebody presents us with a better argument.
I want to uncover more theories, like conspiracy theories, in the same vein. I don't have one at the ready, but I'd like there to be more.
There's got to be some. There's got to be some good ones out there.
Tumblr still exists, right?
I peek on it every once in a while, just looking for a new conspiracy theory. I haven't seen one.
East Coast Avs fan asks, I don't know if it's been mentioned already, but is Bleed expected to be just an Eagle this year? Nothing's confirmed there, but mostly. For what it's worth, he did get a one-way deal, but that doesn't really mean anything.
Between Sedlak, Bleed, Hudon, Megna, and then all the prospects, like those guys will play.
Pick two guys that get
some of those guys are going to get into games. They're going to get into it. But I'm not. I don't know which one it'll be, and my expectations for those guys are always nothing. Whatever you get out of them is gravy, a bonus. If one of those guys forces their hand and makes him stick around like Logan O'Connor did, amazing. You love that. But expectations? No, none.
There's a reason that we all talk so much about how dope Logan O'Connor is. That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, like he's the guy that's stuck.
Right.
Like he's the guy that's stuck in a sea of Jason Megna types that Kiefer Sherwoods that rolled in and out. Dylan Sakura. Like you watch those guys in the AHL and you're like, what the hell is Dylan Sakura doing down here?
Right.
This guy is a dominant AHL player. And then you get him into the NHL and it's just like, oh.
I think he'll have a role in Chicago this season.
Yeah, I do too. Because they don't have
they're going to have a role in Chicago.
They deliberately sent everybody out.
If they put half of their NHL roster on waivers, they would go unclaimed.
Maybe.
They should do that just all in one day.
Without the PHNX guys around, what do you think the ceiling and floor is for Cooley? The floor is a complete bust. And the ceiling, I think, is the highest of the draft class this year, at least offensively. I think he has the highest ceiling, but I think he has a long road to get to that ceiling.
If he absolutely maxes out, you could be looking at a Jack Hughes-esque player. Yep. I would be real surprised if he got there, though. It's just really hard to be a 5'10" center in the NHL. Just is.
It's funny because I said very similar things about Alex Newhook, but it would not surprise me if he falls into that like Matt Duchene range.
Yeah, where if he's the team's top center, you're probably not very good, but if he's your second, third, fourth, your best player, you're good. Pretty good. Yeah. I think that's definitely Matt Duchene's actually probably not the worst stylistic comp either.
Yeah,
just with the
stick handle in a phone booth,
the speed in the hands. Yeah.
Yep.
Really sucks that it sucks that I have to feel obligated to dislike Matt Duchene because I did love watching him play hockey for a long time. It bums me out now.
It is.
My mom wanted to wear his jersey to the parade, but she was afraid that people would berate her for it. So we kept an eye out. There were other Duchesne jerseys out there. It wasn't an big amount. But she was so afraid. But that was around the time she became a fan. He made good memories.
Yeah, that's honestly too bad that somebody would feel afraid to wear his jersey. At that point, the pendulum has swung the other way.
We're cut from the same cloth. She's just anxious.
I see.
Okay, I don't see any other questions. So, any other final thoughts or anything you guys want to talk about before we wrap it up?
Man, I could just sit here and talk about nothing. I could just talk about like hockey nonsense all day because I'm bored.
Oh, hockey nonsense! When you said nothing, I was like, I have a major gripe that I've been just itching to talk about, but it's not hockey related. We'll save it for
I mean,
it doesn't have to be.
Don't you have a major gripe? Like what did somebody wear Crocs to Starbucks this morning? Like
I would be applauding that person. That would be a
has somebody offended your delicate sensibilities yet again? What has taken place? What ails you this time?
All right, I'll talk about it.
On this segment of Jesse Whines About the World, what ails you, good sir?
It's a working title. I would love to do a short video series this year where people can just send me, what do you think about this? And I'll just go. So I love the idea for the name. What did you say? Jesse Whines about the world? It's not the worst thing ever.
Are you sipping wine during the show?
I was going to say, I wish I liked wine a little bit more because then you could spell it W-I-N-E and I'd just start getting schmacked.
You need to at least have the glass that you swirl around.
Yeah,
but instead of drinking from it, you're so disgusted by whatever that you're actually just spitting into it.
All right, so I've talked about this with people before. You guys are all good people. We all hey, look, this is our Earth too, right? We're all trying to do our part to save it.
Did you just preface
Jesse
this with you're all good people?
Oh God, that's such a good one. Sorry, AJ. What?
I said you just prefaced all of this with "You're all good people."
Right.
Yes, so something terrible is coming.
You guys all probably like to try to do your part, pitch in, recycle, right? So they tell you so much. We have to start recycling. You have to do the right thing because we need to save the Earth. And I couldn't be more in. I'm 1,000% on board. I want to recycle everything. Why the fuck is it so hard to find a recycling bin in public? I had to carry around an empty can of Coke the other day for 3 hours. And we were on a walk. We were just looking for a recycling bin. All I need is a recycling bin here. This isn't the first time it's happened to me, and it pisses me off every time. Make it easier to do the right thing. And if you want to recycle at home, we'll get your recycling too. That'll be an extra $40 a month. And it's cool. Cool. Trying to do the right thing here. And
both of the last 2 apartments I lived in had recycling when we moved in, and within 2 months canceled the service.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's you're trying to be a good person. You're trying to do the right thing. You're trying to help the world. And it feels like they want to tell you to do it, but then no one wants to actually give you the resources to do it. And it's just so frustrating. My fingers were all sticky by the end of it. Brutal.
No, not the fingers.
Yeah, I know. There's little drops of Coke dripping out of the open mouth can onto my fingies this whole walk. Just terrible.
Look,
terrible.
While we're whining about things.
Yeah, let's go.
The other day, I was very, very tired, because I've been sick the last week. I had a little bit of a bug, and it's been one of the ways that it manifests is that I'm fatigued like crazy. Being awake for 4 hours is exhausting, and then I have to go take a nap. And so the 18-hour drive up here was challenging. And we stopped in Fargo at a god-awful hotel that I won't dunk on publicly beyond the review that I wrote for them, which was not kind. But we stop and we get into Canada, and I'm so tired. I just need caffeine. So I'm whatever, we'll just pull into a Tim Hortons, right? How is this place one of your flagship establishments in Canada. How have you guys let this happen? I understand that it's a very nice country full of wonderful and delightful people who
Incredibly
don't want
nice.
to tell the British to get the fuck out, and so you guys still have to ask the Queen for your permission to do anything. I get it, but I get that part of it. You're just polite. It's all good. Wars are lame. I'm about it. How have you let Tim Hortons become a flagship establishment? How have you let this happen? You are far too wonderful of a populace to have allowed something this mid to take over and dominate. It is everywhere. I go half a block, and it's all over the place. Tim Hortons is all over the place, and it is so aggressively mediocre.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can bother with it at this point, and I'm not even a coffee person, so I've tried all the other stuff. I got some like strawberry something or other just for like a sugar infusion the other day because I was like, oh, maybe this will help. This will give me a little energy, a little boost. It was like sugar water. Just filthy. I couldn't even finish that thing, and I'm a person that religiously finishes things because leftovers bother me like crazy.
Yeah.
And so I finished things, right? And I could not finish this thing because it was just I drank it and I'm like, there's no flavor. And Z's like, it tastes like strawberry. I'm like, no, it doesn't. Are you high right now? This tastes like nothing.
Are the strawberries good in Canada?
Is nothing. There's actually like part of the drink was like strawberry jelly or whatever, and it was like around like the rim of the dude. It's fucking gross. Just don't bother. But it was like I could taste that just fine on its own, but in the drink it was nothing. It was nothing.
Yeah.
I just don't. How is it that a country this wonderful with so many delightful people have allowed something to get this mediocre and be everywhere?
I'll add to that. Some of the Timmy Hoes are shit too. Like they're gross when you go in and they're like the tiles are coming off the floor, the wallpaper's peeling. It's like, yeah, this is like a defining characteristic of Canadians, and half of them look terrible. And then yeah, everything is it's all right. The Timbits are probably the best part, right?
It really is. It's the one thing where I'm like, well, you haven't fucked up donut holes. Wow. In a country where mini donuts are everywhere, you guys, the one thing you have not screwed up is donut holes. Great. Congratulations. At least there's one thing left for them to ruin. And they should just check the box and close up shop.
Well, and the best part is the one part they found a thing not to ruin is like what's supposed to be like the trash. Like it's like the cast off of the donut.
Yeah.
Donut hole comes out. It usually gets rolled back into new dough. So they found a way to turn the scraps into the biggest positive.
All right. If we're complaining about things,
Always.
It's August. Why are people still setting fireworks off?
Bro.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It's time to stop.
Go work.
Yeah.
Go work.
Yeah.
Someone set one off. I was in my car at a drive-thru, and they set one off, and I thought someone was shooting at me. And I was in a drive-thru, so I couldn't go anywhere.
It's over. It's been a month since July 4th. It's time to stop with the fireworks. All right.
I've always been you have 7 days after the 4th of July to get out any of your excess fireworks. Even then, you shouldn't be like, there were these people in my old neighborhood who would light fireworks off in like 30-minute chunks. You just go and go and go. It's like if you have a stray firework here or there, sure, set it off.
I am moving more towards the opinion that because of the increasingly negative impact that it has on pets, and because of the impact that it has on people with PTSD, like fireworks in like city centers and things should be a no-go unless it is like a big like public event that like a bunch of like you go to Coors Field for a display. They put it for 40 minutes. You watch it. It's crazy. It's incredible. It's awesome. And then you move on. but like people standing on their street, like shooting off fucking fireworks that they bought from a stand or something. I think more and more. I'm just getting more like, just stop. The answer is no.
I want this to not be a troll so bad. I hope the reason people are setting off fireworks in Colorado, a landlocked state, is the Coast Guard Festival. I really, really hope that that's the reason, because I believe that maybe we get them to stop then.
All of our reservoirs around here get pretty crazy during the summer. Coast Guard's real busy.
Meghan, you said something when you first started talking about that, and it spurred a thought, but I got very into what he was saying, and I forgot what you said. Do you remember what you said?
Went off in my car, and I thought I was being shot at.
Oh, drive-thrus. Here's another one. Just while we're complaining about stuff. Why do some drive-thrus trap you in?
Bro. Like, I went through one today where I was like, this is a pretty tight turn. Right. Also, I can't get out.
Yeah, it's like if anything, and obviously I don't know what would happen to you in a drive-thru. You'd need to like exit quickly. But like if you ever it's like, oh, you want to order food? Now you fucking have to. You have to order food before you can leave. How about that? It's like being at Disneyland and like trying to exit a ride. It's like, oh, you have to go to the gift shop first. Drive-thru, they get you. I need more exit strategy drive-thru.
Pulled out of a drive-thru?
I mean, you've never just been like, JK, and then just sat in the line and then like, whatever.
Yeah, we've all done it. We all want to think we haven't done it, but we've done it. Okay. I had it once. Yeah, I had it once, like not all that long ago, where I ordered food and then reached in my pocket and realized I didn't bring. Yep. I had no money.
Forgot your wallet. Yep.
Yeah, I was like,
that stuff happens, man.
Meghan, do you have any big gear grinders down there?
While we're complaining.
Yeah.
I'm sure I do, but I can't think of one.
Daniel gets it.
Yo,
Meghan just continuing to build this reputation as by far the most pleasant human being on our planet.
But I feel like I build rage over time over things, and then it kind of spills over at a later date, so that's not healthy either.
All right, so it's start of September, Megan's gonna be like, you know what bothers me?
Yeah.
Also, if you're stuck in a drive-thru for 90 minutes, at that point, you're allowed to make it a destruction derby. Like, just pushing cars out of the way.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Like, that's one where you park your car and you get out and you talk to everybody else and you're like, guys, can we agree let's get the fuck out of here? Even if we get our McDonald's at this point, this is super duper not worth. Let's just all agree. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, I hate those ones. And yeah, you start rubbing up against them. Some people's car doesn't fit. Like you said, the ones are super tight. Drive-thrus.
Those are the ones where there are times where I'm like, how does this work in winter? Like, snow happens here. That McDonald's that I went to get Z some lunch today, I'm like, this has got to be really tough it's like all ice. I don't know how you're going to make this turn. You're just going to like slide into the snowbank sitting there. And that's how you stay inside the drive-thru lane. Like,
This
is tight.
There's a Popeyes down off 225 and Parker. And there sure is. And it used to be relatively close to an office building that I worked in. So a few of us would go pick up chicken on Tuesdays because I don't know if they still do, run a Tuesday 2-piece special, whatever. And their drive-thru had this huge, just bump in it where the, asphalt was misshapen. And it was on the backside of the building that had shadow. So in the winter, you look like you took your life into your hands anytime you wanted chicken, just trying to get through the drive-thru.
Yeah, that's not especially with the way that that parking lot was behind that building, where it was torn apart at all times. You're like, is this part of the parking lot in particular a war zone? What is going on back here? Because it was like giant potholes,
Yeah.
or just
Yeah.
like the concrete is just like destroyed entirely, and you're like, okay, what are my options here? I stopped going to that place for that reason. That was the exact, because I was like, this is psychotic. Coming back here, it's just dangerous.
The parking lot was like that GIF of that mascot like running through the field with all the explosions going off behind him.
Yes,
that was what going through that parking lot was to get Popeyes.
I'm sorry guys for tuning into our hockey podcast to listen to us whine about the world for 20 minutes.
Hey,
but also, we gave you fair warning.
50 minutes of quality hockey content today.
We gave you fair warning that this was coming.
Yeah. I could do a 90-minute podcast by myself about inconsiderate and oblivious people. People that just don't like pay attention in public. Everyone makes mistakes. I get it. It's when people mess up and have no idea that they just cut off 5 people and go about their day.
Oh, dude, I misjudged going down to the bar one day. All the lane closures that happen on Park Avenue. I totally just misjudged a car's speed, and I got in front of him, and he was going much faster than I thought he was. Mm-hmm. And I almost caused an accident, and he like laid on the horn. I felt so terrible. And I was like trying to apologize to him at the stoplight, and he thought I was talking shit to him. And I was like, I'm saying sorry. Sorry. And I'm like, there's no hand signal for this. There's 100 hand signals for fuck you, but how do I apologize?
See, and
so I tried to roll down my window and be like, I'm so sorry, man. I did not. That is my fault. I did not mean to. And he started yelling at me, and I was like,
roll it back up. See, you made a mistake. It happens. You recognized it. It's. I had it. This was a few months ago. This person cut me off. It almost caused me to get into a separate accident, and they were just like, I'm out of here. I don't know what's going on back there. I may have just caused a 3-car pileup, but not my problem. Those are the people. Dude, self-checkout, the soda machines with the touchscreen. People's inability to use a touchscreen blows my fucking mind. It taps into the most basic human instinct. See something you want and touch it. And I just don't get it.
It's not a good instinct.
Well, but I mean, like babies, you put a little play thing in front of them, I want, and it lights up, and it's like, whoa, how do I make that happen?
And then the baby puts it in its mouth, and now you've got big problems.
And you get behind these people at the touchscreen soda things, what? I don't know. How do I? And they're just getting more and more ice, never ending. It's like, can I go? I'll be 7 seconds, and you can get back to your 30-minute workshop on how to get soda. Oh my God, it drives me crazy.
See, I'm more willing to put up with that as an introvert than being in line with someone who's talking the cashier's ear off. And it's move on with your day. No one's here to talk to you.
That's the one where you slide up on them and you're like, hey guys, are you friends? And if they're like, yes, then you're like, great, you have each other's number, continue this later. And if it's no, then it's then great, move on, continue this later. There are people in line here. Let's get it going. I don't mean to be hey, I understand that in the service industry, you appreciate the hell out of friendly customers and friendly interactions, but you also have to have a timer. When when there are people in line, there's got to be a little clock in your head where you're just where you're just okay, it has been 36 seconds of just chit chat. Let's wrap this thing up, my guy. Either get my number, hit me up on Instagram, whatever you fucking kids do these days. Whatever, it's fine. We can continue this later, but let's move it along because that shit drives me nuts, man. And I'm a really patient person where I'm just
yeah,
that drives me crazy.
Inconsiderate and oblivious people. Anyone who's worked in the service industry, and I think all 4 of us have, right? Yeah. You're 100% right, AJ. you can be really nice and really pleasant to a customer service worker in an efficient amount of time. You don't need to sit up there and talk. It's like there's a ton of people back here trying to get their business done. Some of them are on a time crunch. We are not here for you guys to bullshit. Be polite, be pleasant, smile, say thank you, and get the fuck out of the way. Like, let's go. If you can't work and talk, you have to just work. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. Like, that's
like you're at work here. Like that's
right. I've worked in a cubicle before. I can talk and work in that setting. If you can't talk and work, you have to work. Like, that's also why we do this. Our work is talking. It's just
This comment in the chat about obstruction in a grocery store just happened to me. I felt like this lady was stalking me. I was only there for like 3 or 4 things. And every time I turned around, her fucking cart is in my way. I was like, by the 3rd time it happened, and she's standing in the middle of like a transition area in between major aisles, and she's in the middle of it, and I'm like, how? How is it that you have decided the most inconvenient place is where you just happen to stop and decide, hey, I'm going to check my phone. I'm going to fuck around and blah, blah, blah. Like,
man, we're living in it.
Can we put the phones down? Unless that is your grocery list, can we put the phone down while we're grocery shopping and just get this done? Oh my God, dude.
Pull off to the side. Like, there's so many areas you can get out of people's way.
Like, I just want to like there's I don't know if any of you guys ever listen to like Bill Burr do his stand up, but he talks about punching muffins as like a rage release. How sometimes he just wants to like punch muffins because it would just feel so good. That's like there's like an angry psychotic version of me that in that situation just takes that person's cart and just like bombs it down an aisle and like looks at them and just like gives them the stare down while they go and get it.
Yeah.
And instead I was like, oh, excuse me, again, how do I keep ending up here? Ha ha ha. Like trying to like make it obvious that like, get out of my way, lady. Like, good God, how do you keep ending up here?
I hear you there, but also like I'm sure you guys have seen some of those videos of people just like tearing apart a grocery store because they're mad.
Dude, don't do that.
Those are the worst people on the planet. Like, you're a terrible person if you did that because they didn't have the chips you wanted or something. Like,
in 90 to 95% of situations where customers freak out, it has nothing to do with the like situation.
It's totally external factors. So
it is almost always a projection of something.
Yeah. Not saying that like you don't have like shitty employees out there who like, I just one dude that worked for me at my last job who would like intentionally mix it up with, you know, customers and clients and shit. And it's like, okay, you are causing problems for me. And now it's a separate thing. But I had one yesterday. I was at Home Depot. I was walking down the aisle and there was this little bit older couple. They were standing at the end of the aisle, like a wingspan apart for some, like just enough to take up the entire aisle. It was us 3 on the aisle. I locked eyes with them from 15 to 20 feet away. Like, I'm coming. I have a cart filled with items. I can't make it through right now. You guys have 20 feet to figure it out. And this fucking dude stared me in the eye all the way up till like my cart almost ran into him. And then he took like a half step back. It's like, are you serious? Like, you knew this was coming. Like, I didn't think I needed to say anything because I thought we had like an eye-to-eye agreement, like a non-verbal agreement that I was going to exit the aisle this way. And he looked at me like, wow, I can't believe you didn't turn all the way back and go down the other far side of the aisle so me and my wife could continue this conversation. Unbelievable. What's prank bro culture?
It's not just a prank bro isn't real. Like, it's the same thing as like internet trolls where you be annoying for 10 minutes. And then you say, hey, just kidding. And it's like, no, you weren't.
You did it. What were you kidding about?
Yeah.
How do I feel? I called that my 20s.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, like, what's prank bro culture? Like going back to the sleepover things, like, yeah, you go ding dong ditch people. Is that like its own culture now?
I mean, that's pretty harmless. Like smashing mailboxes with a baseball bat would be, first of all, I think it's I think it's a lot harder to know. Well, we were watching Stand By Me last night, and they were doing it in the start of that movie, so it's on my mind.
So I'm like weirdly intimate with this culture because I come from the YouTube background, and like where things really start to fall apart with this is I forget the guy's name, but he made a prank video on YouTube where he was walking around and grabbing women's asses, just like in public, like women that he didn't know. And like, of course, it turns out that the video was totally fake because no sane human being would grab people's asses. Just
damn sexual assault. So
yeah, right. And so like the video was fake, but like they're showing this video to 12-year-old kids on the internet who are too stupid to like understand that it's fake and you shouldn't do this. And so it created a giant stir of how like you can't just tell people it's just a prank when you're doing illegal things.
Right. That video of that guy, this was a few years ago now, who was going around and sneaking up behind guys and cutting off if they had man buns. He was cutting the man bun. And it's like,
I do remember this.
It's like, I get it, like, no, I don't get that. But like, everyone, man buns, can't just go chop someone's hair off. Like that's, and I think he got in like a good amount of trouble for it. Because you can't just fucking do that. The assuming this falls into that category, the kid that would like drop the milk and like act like he slipped and fell. Those I always think was funny. But then he got carried away. He like threw a couple like through the ceiling. It's like, okay, less funny now. Less funny.
Okay.
You know what I like? I like wholesome things in public. Like a couple of years ago, the guy in Australia that went to the outdoor mall with the free hugs sign, and he just held it up, and people ran up to him all day giving him hugs. And like some of them were like nice hugs, and like one lady just like started giving him a hug and like melted down. And it was like that's a person that just needed a hug.
Yeah.
And like I thought that was like I watched that video a million times because I was like, this is adorable. I like more wholesome things like that. I think that's the stuff that makes me feel good. Like there's a comedian on TikTok that I follow who like he does like polite cat calls to people where he'll be like he has like an arrow and he'll be like, hey, like you look like the type of person to return your shopping cart. Like small, like silly stuff like that, and I'm like, that's adorable. I could get behind more stuff like that.
I like cardboard sign guy, and he's always just got different, like very very practical things written on there. Always like that dude.
Okay, we might be getting a little bit too deep into our specific corners of the internet at this point, so it might be time to wrap up the show.
I think I could go for so much longer.
I know, but we have the rest.
Practical Jokers was the worst show on television.
So cringy. It was so cringy.
Horrific.
Okay.
Horrific.
We can talk about it all August long if you want. We'll get there. So we're gonna wrap up.
August long just ended, buddy.
I know. If you want, tune in tomorrow. We're going to have the couch man himself, Evan Rowell, back on the show. Should be a
play the game.
Yeah, for Free Skate Friday.
I'm excited, man. It's going to be cool. I'm excited. I'm excited for like Meghan to actually like dominate all of the games, and it turns out this is her superpower.
I don't know. It could be bad, or it could be good.
I feel like I'm prepared, but I'll never get the right answer because I'm terrible at actually like coming through in the end. Anyway, we're gonna take off for the day. We appreciate all of y'all hanging out and listening to us complain about stuff for half an hour. If you did want hockey, go back, watch the first 50 minutes of the show where we actually talk about hockey things.
Or I can watch the middle like 35 of the show.
Either way. We love you, and we'll talk to y'all tomorrow.